Hello, friends. It's me, your host, Courtney Gettings. And today's episode, we are going to be focusing on your big why. How do you envision your life in real estate? What does your day look like? What does your business look like? Now, if you don't have anything to write with, I encourage you to take a second, put me on pause, and go grab something. I'm really hoping that today inspires you to dig deep and figure out, why are you coming into real estate? Why are you taking a gamble on yourself? At first, my big why was all about the rainbows and butterflies. It was the freedom of wanting to sleep in. It was not having to have a rigid schedule, being my own boss, doing whatever I wanted for that day or that week. I first had my very first reality check shortly after I came in real estate. We had friends who were investing at the time, and there was, a close friend of ours and his business partner. And I was very grateful to help them on one of their buy sites. Shortly after we closed on that property, they flipped the house and they listed with another agent. It was an agent that, they had worked with before, they had a relationship with, and I understood why they went with that agent, especially the person was close with, the agent rather, was close with the business partner, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't hurt by it. A part of me had that sting. And I definitely had a lesson learned that day that I had to earn business. Just because you knew someone doesn't mean that you automatically got their business. It doesn't mean that you've earned their trust to handle the biggest financial investment of their life, most likely. So that was probably my biggest and first learning. Now, if you Google your big why, this is what Google says. Your big why is the driving reason you do what you do. When you hit a ceiling of achievement, it's your big why that keeps you pushing. It's the reason you keep going even when you want to give up. Now let's dive into that for a minute. If we read it again and take it piece by piece, it says, your big why is the driving reason you do what you do. When you hit a ceiling of achievement, it's your big why that keeps you pushing. When you're just starting out and you are constantly looking for anyone who needs to buy or sell today, it takes a lot out of you to hear no after no after no after no after not yet. So as you're building your pipeline in the very beginning, you have to remember why you are taking a gamble on yourself. Why are you going to bet all your cards on yourself? That if anybody can do it, you can do it. And I may have mentioned before that in my local market, once you're under contract, even if you get an accepted offer or the sellers find a buyer today, the likelihood that it's going to close in 45 days is probably looking closer to 60 days. It's just the reality with title and inspections. So even if you have that savings, when you are full-time in real estate and your savings is dwindling down, you need to constantly go back to your big why. And it's okay if your big why changes. Like I said, mine was all rainbows and butterflies. And in my first year of real estate, we were also trying so hard for a family. I ended up getting pregnant and later miscarrying. And in the midst of my now realizing I was depressed, I was also trying to grow my business. And you realize that you're faced with the choice to either find something, maybe part-time, just to make a few bucks so you can pay your bills, or you realize that the time you would invest in that temporary side gig thing is valuable time that you really could be putting it towards real estate. So those choices were choices that I had to make early on in my career when I was struggling to pay my car payment and crying to my husband that I needed to borrow $30 because I couldn't pay my car payment in full. And someone from the dealership actually called me because I was late on my payment. Do you know how stressful that is while you're trying to grow your business and you're trying to figure out holy smokes, my savings is dwindling and I don't know what I'm going to do. When you hit that ceiling, you have to go back to your big why. It's what keeps you pushing. It's the reason you keep going even when you want to give up. Just like I said, my first reality check, one client isn't going to make or break you. You have to realize that when you get into real estate, you have to learn how to grow thick skin. For me, I want to make everyone happy. I want to, make sure everyone's happy with me and that they're having the best experience. But when you're having a really crappy day or week, or you don't have a few closings for a few months, you really need to go back to digging deep, finding out what your big why is, and reevaluating if you need to. So for me, the biggest thing that keeps me on track is a vision board. Now, I don't really think I was very familiar with a vision board until I came into real estate. Now, a vision board can be something old-fashioned. It can be a collage with glue and cutting things out with scissors, out of a magazine, out of, anything. And it also can be electronic. What does your Pinterest look like? Or maybe you have a folder saved on Instagram. It can be printouts of the internet on a bulletin board. A vision board doesn't have to be a one-size-fits-all, but it does have to be a compilation of what you envision for yourself and what you want out of your business. It's those tangible things that you want. Is it a second vacation house? Or is it your first house? Is it an investment property? Is it something cool like a boat or a private jet? Is it capping? If you're familiar with the broker that I'm at, Keller Williams, capping is a big deal. It's when you get to take home 100% of your commissions. You've already put in your dues and you've already paid in everything you need to for the year. There's so many things that keep you focused. My big why quickly changed from the rainbows and butterflies to realizing that I needed to get my ass in gear and real quick. When I had that miscarriage and I had to pull myself out of that funk, that baby that we lost was ultimately my big why. I knew that I could sit in bed all day in the fetal position and cry because I was feeling so down and wanted something so desperately that I couldn't have at that time. Or I could let myself feel all the feels in that moment and then pick myself back up. Because I knew that if we had had that baby, I would have had no choice but to bust my ass and to make a great living so that baby could have the best life possible. Our first miscarriage wouldn't be our last. And we actually went through fertility treatments to bring our daughter into the world. 15 months later, we brought our second into the world by a miracle on our own. Now, my first year in real estate really tested my sanity, not only on a personal level, but on a professional level too. As I was trying to grow and get my feet off the ground with this real estate business, I only made $7,500. If you listen to episode 1, you'll realize that that mere $7,500 was pennies compared to what I was used to making, and I really had to depend on my savings. I learned how to pinch a penny like you wouldn't believe, and it also made me push that much more to make sure I had a really great second year. Now, your big why can evolve. My first big why was rainbows and butterflies. My second big why was that baby we lost, and now my big why is those 2 babies that we lost, but it's also our 2 babies at home. I know that I always envisioned a life where my husband and I work from home. He worked from home before I did, before coming in real estate. And even pre-COVID, we always had the chance to work from home primarily. And I wanted to keep our babies close to us. Now with some hired help, we're able to do that. We're able to have really great careers, but also not miss these moments in our kids' lives. One day they're going to be in preschool and they're going to be in grammar school and then high school and college. And it's not always easy trying to raise a family, grow your business, and be everything at all times. But this chapter in life won't last forever. And you need to look at what you're you doing this for. So start thinking about that vision board. Start thinking about what do you want to put on that vision board. Maybe it's paying down debt. And make sure that you have it in front of you and something that you can see at all times. So work on that vision board. Make a post about it. Put it out there. If you put it out there in the world, it's so much more likely to come true. So when you put it out there, make sure you tag us because I want to see it. My team wants to see it. Go ahead and tag us at my business page at Gettings Home Team. You can find us on Instagram or Facebook. And not only would I love for you to follow along, but I'll make sure that we look out for your posts too. I'm really excited for you to dig into your big why. Your big why gives you a purpose. And it's okay if your big why changes as your purpose changes. As we grow, things change. It's normal and it's natural. So thanks for joining in today. If you know your big why, you're just one step closer to dominating real estate.